Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Steve LeFrancois, Chief Technology Officer, Public Sector at Verizon. You know, Steve, a lot of people look at the EIS as a technical document or technical change, right. But it's a whole lot more to transforming an agency than just a technical specification, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely, John. And I think what you have is you've got the ability on the EIS contract. You have a huge portfolio of capabilities, but it's not just a unique individual technologies. It's also with partners. We've got over 80 partners on our EIS contract, which really add a lot of value. And we help pre-integrate a lot of capabilities, whether it's a call center, an enhanced call center service, or it's a security offering, or it's a network operations service, or an application performance. We bring in the partners, so we do that integration upfront for agencies so that they can consume it on as a service model.
Steve, earlier you made comments about change. It seems like from a 40,000-foot perspective, this is a change from a component basis to an outcomes basis for making these technological changes. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And transformation is the business case for transformation. Some will look at it as, it's cost savings, but it's also could be, hey, how can I enhance my agency's mission where they're already executing? Or maybe I'll enable new missions for that particular component or that agency. And so it really depends on what's driving the business case. But I think when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's about how can you do more with less and outsource some of these capabilities so that you're not building on a per component basis, because the pace of change with it, not just the technology, but also the people transformation behind it are extremely important. And so that's one thing we also bring into every conversation around any transformation is around the culture that needs to change as well. Change is not successful without some bold leadership, as well as some transformation of the organization driving that as a service.
You know, Steve, you and I both worked with software developers over the years, and they talk about software as a service. It gives them the ability to be flexible and adapt and alter assets easily, you know. Can Verizon give one of these federal agencies that are listening the ability to manipulate spectrum and maybe dedicate bandwidth to first responders, or is that kind of flexibility built in?
No, it's a great question, and you touched on the software, and so there's a lot of discussion around software-defined services, and why are people making that transformation beyond just transforming from a mission perspective? The network has been the bottleneck as agencies are migrating to cloud services. To be able to scale up and scale down quickly, it is something that we have not been able to accomplish in a network side from a historical perspective. But as you move away from component basis into a software basis, now agencies and enterprises can start consuming it on a demand basis. So being able to throttle up and throttle down bandwidth as the application requirements dictate is extremely powerful, but it requires some change from an economics perspective. So the way you buy on a consumption basis is extremely valuable as well. So when we talk transformation, there's the technology moving away from components to an as a service, but also looking at the business model differently so that you can start consuming on a variable basis and pay for what you use.
So, Steve, they took DevOps and added DevSecOps. Mm-hmm. I guess I'll take network ops and put security in there somehow too, won't they?
Absolutely, and you have to have that holistic view of across the entire application spectrum, because it's not all about just the network components or the security components. Are the CIOs who are consuming these services, are they delivering on the mission requirements? And without having that view, it makes it very difficult to meet those expectations from a mission outcome perspective.
I'd like to thank today's guest, Steve LeFrancois, Chief Technology Officer, Public Sector, Verizon. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, and you're listening to Federal News Radio, part of the Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search Verizon.